Hello, guys. Welcome back. I am Curls by KC. I'm on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at Curls by KC or TikTok on Curls by KC. So thank you so much for coming to our color class. So Zoom classes are always really interesting because one, I cannot hear you. I have no idea what the chat is, but my assistant is keeping an eye on the chat. I have my husband being the camera, tech boy. I have two beautiful models today because we're treating this kind of like a cooking show. So I've been prepping models since 11:30 and working on one. We have one processing, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what I did with her, and then I'm going to go and do the same thing that I did on her on this one, and you will be able to see her by the time we're finished. So to get things first, will you guys in the chat tell me any kind of questions you are wanting to know about coloring curls, so I make sure I know I answer them, and Miss Anna will let me know what they are because I am teaching a silent class currently right now. So I just did a little mini quick haircut on her, and we are doing my traditional, I learned the best money piece technique from the Queen, Ashley Norman herself, and that's literally the same technique I'm going to do today. It's the only technique I use behind the chair for my money piece, and then I switch it up and I do my organic coloring on my curls. So, and you guys are probably wondering, who is this straight-haired white girl doing all this curly hair? And I'm telling you, I have had a ton of training with curly hair. I have been doing curls for about 15 years now, like 13 to 15. I stopped counting. But it is one of those things where I'm incredibly passionate. I have been for a long time. I was one of the first ones to ever actually do curly hair as a specialty. A little bit about me, guys, since you guys probably don't know anything about me. I am a hairstylist for around 13 to 15 years. Again, don't remember how many years, but I have worked with Redken for 4 years. I was an educator for Redken. I worked with the Kansas City Chiefs cheerleaders doing editorial and all of their traveling internationally with them for behind the scenes. So I am used to really fast-paced work. I have to have a big impact with work, but make it fast because we don't usually have a lot of time. I am still a hairstylist, even though I own a salon and I'm a private educator. So I go to classes all across the country and I teach curly hair. I teach stylists just like you how to do what I do day in and day out, because I have a clientele that flies in and flies out, and it's all curly hair. It's all I do. But my team does everything else. And if you guys hear anything in the background, it's because we didn't close the salon down. We still have a whole team working. They're just kind of working around us. So again, let's get started. We are using all of F18's products today. I just pre-treated both of my models with the treatment spray, and I pre-prepped her hair with it. What this does, it has a really great pH. It's a 4.5 to a 5.5. It just kind of helps protect the hair. We also pre-mixed our lightener. With her, we're using white lightning, and with our first model, we use white lightning. I have a dark brunette girly, and then I have the lighter blonde girly here. So it's kind of cool. You'll be able to see both techniques, but on two completely extreme difference. I do that on purpose. So we're going to prep this to keep the hair safe. And one of the biggest complaints I always get with curly hair with coloring, it either looks stripy, it disappears because the coil, whenever you color something, it will always coil and then your lightener disappears. She's like shaking her head. Yeah, yeah. So when it comes to the money piece era, I like to keep that continuation. She likes face framing here. So will you put the camera a little bit lower? There we go. A little bit. I want to just see more of this. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So when we do this, see how she kind of gets like a black hole right here where it's like, well, nice and bright. I have never colored her hair before. This is the first time I've ever meeting this beautiful angel. But so we want this money piece to kind of come all the way through. That's really light and sexy, but I need it to continue through here because otherwise the highlights just stop. And so it's the same thing with the other girly that I have over there. I let the hair kind of dictate. Curls are put in this world to make sure you know you are not in control. So when it comes to coloring and cutting curly hair, I'm going to color based off organically what the hair wants to do. What that means is how I do my parting. So I know right here, her hair will have a natural separate. That means it's a plane. Okay, so we have bevels and we have planes. So a bevel is where the head is rounded, and then a plane is where the head itself is flat. So just like you use planes and bevels when you are cutting, I do the same thing whenever I'm coloring, because it means it's a change of direction of hair. So like right here, that means that's going to be one of my partings. And then I'm going to treat this as its own different entity. And I can already feel there's a bevel right here. And then that will naturally part with it. And then I'll actually part it all. And I am kind of going kind of fast because I'm not going to lie, guys. I have a lot of adrenaline because I've been working really fast. So if I'm talking too quickly, you can slow me down and then I'll finally get back into my groove. But as hairstylists, we got to work quick. Okay. So I'm going to, she's already pre-prepped with treatment spray. I'm going to part her at the apex. I'm going to go behind the ear. Sometimes on girlies with a lot of hair, I will even take this and pivot this. And this whole section down to that very back hairline will all come forward. Because what do we do when we bring all of our hair forward? Like when we bring it all like this, not girlies with a bob, but girlies with long hair, they'll bring all their hair like this. So I sometimes like to include that very, very last low piece with it. So that'll be one part. Does anybody else literally only wear a watch to hold their clips? Even though I have a very nice apron, but you know. And I'm going to do the same thing over here.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Just to make sure the color doesn't get lost in the foot. That's just one thing I like to know.
Say that again one more time. I'm sorry.
The placement, where, how big the root size is.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay, perfect. So the rule of thumb is I color curls different ways. For this quick of a class, I'm going to do the most easy coloring placement possible. But the rule of thumb that I like to follow is I like to color at least 2/3 of one curl. That way it will not really disappear. So I'm not doing baby lights. If I do baby lights on a curly girl, they're going to literally disappear, or they're going to look, the shadow behind the baby light will look stripy and it will be a little too harsh. So with baby lights, I very rarely, unless they want to have a lot of blonde, I'll do a lot of baby lights. But if I'm wanting dimension and I need that depth behind the blonde that I'm using, I'm always going to try to cover at least 2/3 of each curl that I'm doing. You can paint curl by curl if you want. You will just get a very much warmer result with it, which is why I don't do it very often, unless they're telling me they like to be very, very warm. So with her, and I'm going to turn so you do not have to. Okay. So you guys see how I have that little part from the apex, and then we're going to come all the way down to the very bottom of the nape right here. So there's her ear. So that way all of this is going to come forward. Okay. So first things first, I always color that that bottom piece right here first. And then I'm going to jump, and then I'm going to start at the money piece. So, because typically this will always, see how it's not even colored? That is why we have a little black hole there. So, and I want to get rid of the black hole. We've already taken before and after, or before photos, so we don't have to mess with that right now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I foil with a board all the time. Will you lift her up for me, baby? Thank you. A little bit more. So I'm using a metal board. It's the Ashley Norman boards. They're really thin. I absolutely love them. I've been working with them for about 5 years. So I'm going to take this all the way up to her base. Something about me that is very different from a lot of hairstylists is that I personally do not do shadow roots. That is like an unpopular opinion, but I don't like to do, I charge by the hour. So anytime I'm having a shadow root, it's typically just because I messed up, I have a bleed mark, or I need to fix it. But typically I do not need shadow roots. So how you'll see it once I get closer, how I feather the color up and I very rarely will ever need a shadow root. And all my color, I kind of specialize in low maintenance color. My girlies, they like to come in back every 4 to 6 months. Okay, so here we go to the money piece. So I do my money piece the exact same way every single time. I'm gonna take this whole section, or you can even split this in half to kind of break it up a little bit. Especially if girlies like our other model over there had more hair than Jesus. So I would suggest breaking that up because you can get very lost with curly hair. Curly hair can be very intimidating. So I'm just gonna neatly pin that back. So essentially I'm working with this much space when I'm gonna start her money piece. And one of the things, again, I'm just gonna use Ashley Norman as I'm gonna use her analogy. The way I'm doing this money piece is, it's like a deck of cards that you fan, and that deck of cards is gonna be like when you're fanning it, it will look like this. The reason why I like doing it is because it literally changed my life with my money pieces. Because before, the way I was doing my money pieces, I would always make them accidentally too thick, and I did not like how it looked. So when she came to my salon and taught, if anybody watches Schitt's Creek, I literally just did. What? What's her name on Schitt's Creek? Who?
Alexia?
Alexia. I just did Alexia. But the way I like to do this, the reason why I like to do the Ashley Norman technique is because it keeps my money pieces really thin and looking very, very good. So I'll have my husband zoom in whenever I start. Because there is come in over here by the POV. So I pull everything up. And what you like to do is, I'm gonna go diagonal, 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 diagonal. And then once we get to this natural recession, I never color baby hairs. Don't come to my class and tell people that I color baby hairs, because I do not. But I'm going to start coloring around this other extra recession. And then we'll just let this be a natural little shadow. You won't even be able to tell. And then whenever I come back up, all my money pieces are gonna end up like this. So basically diagonal back. So if I were to put a marble on this, it would roll that way if it was a flat piece. But here's the trick with it. So I'm going to come in through here. I'm going to take thin sections. You want to be able to read a book through all your sections. I'm going to pin this up. By the way, these clips that I'm using, just a hairstylist, we don't gatekeep. These are the YSL clips. They are the best freaking clips in the entire world. I love them so much. Okay. So I take this, I hold it really tight. Here's the trick. I'm going to take this very first piece of this hairline. See how thin that is? And then, oops, let me regather. Take that very first hairline piece, and then I'm weaving. And I'm going to copy and paste that all the way up. I'm using my short burr board. See how thin that piece is? They will get thicker. It's just these little baby hairs will just always be a little bit more narrow. I always sandwich my foils, and I keep my foil longer than my top one. I put it up longer than the actual foil, because you'll see after this, I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to bring this down, and that will lift it up. So that way I get no bleed marks, and you'll get other opportunities to like. And if you guys have any camera tips, like if you feel like you don't want us zooming in or zooming out, feel free to put it in the chat. And we can make accommodations. We're just doing our best over here. Okay, so again, I get these little baby hairs out of the way. I'm gonna be working diagonal back, working my way all the way up. I take this, I wanna do the very first weave, so that way it That's piece is the money piece, and then I'm weaving it behind the actual very first pickup. But if you do not pick up that very first hairline, it's going to be dark, and then you'll have weaves through here. So that was the part that really changed my life behind the chair. And then what I do, I like to keep this and I just kind of shimmy that color up. She has previously lightened hair down here, so I am not going to color over that. We can tip that out at a later time. Yeah, this is longer. I'm going to take this shorter. I try to keep my foils the length of the actual hair that I painted. So that way there's not extra weight on there. And if that happens, that's okay. So then I crease these very neatly. The money piece, it takes me the longest to do my money piece, and then the rest of it I can literally do really quickly. But the money piece is the most crucial because it's the money maker, okay? That's why we call it the money piece. We don't care about what the back of our hair looks like, right? Who cares about that? Okay, again, here, and then we're weaving. We're weaving and a grooving. I just like to give where credit is due, so I did not create this money piece technique. It was purchased and paid for. Any questions? Not yet.
What?
I was trying to have my model prep. I was trying to have the first half of her money piece already done, but I got behind on our model prep. So I was like, well, pick up that front piece and then we're going to keep going. When it comes to the biggest thing, when it comes to coloring textured hair, everybody needs to be smart. My very first model, she was actually just telling me how the last time she got her hair colored, it like melted her hair and she had scalp sores and all sorts of stuff, and she hasn't had her hair colored since. You just have to be really cautious. Curly hair, you can completely annihilate and break down the bonds inside the hair that makes it strong enough to be curly. So if you use too intense of a developer, you can royally mess up their texture. We see it a lot. We correct it a lot here. We do a lot of curl corrections. Literally the majority of all my business is curly. So we're gonna come in through here. So see how it's like, once you start gumming, you'll start to see kind of like this deck of cards kind of like fan out. So I'm not going to do those. That very first one, and then we'll weave. You always, what? Yep, you can come in the front. You say you wanted to come by on the front?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can. Yep. So I usually only use roughly around, I bounce between the white lightening powder. How many of you use F18's lightener? Tell me in the chat box. I mostly use, I have a lot of brunette. I am not a level 8 and up stylist. I wish I would, because my life would be hella easy. But I have a lot of brunette, like dark pigmented, thick, coarse hair clients. So I always typically will always mix up white lightning. It has up to 7 levels of lift, I believe. And it is very gentle on the hair. I always prep with the treatment spray. You can put it on dry. especially when I'm tipping out or if I am having to go over pre-lightened hair. So see how thin my sections are? That is one of the biggest things that I try to train like with my team. If you use thinner sections, you don't have to use very powerful developer. You honestly, in my opinion, you should not be using over 20 developer on any curly girl. If you are, you're really running the risk of kind of destroying their curls. Basically, they'll get really lazy curls. They're going to need a lot more protein, a lot more moisture, and their curls just, it's going to take forever to grow that back. That and naturally curly hair is naturally more dry because it's a windy, curvy road as opposed to a straight shot. So this is where it's starting to kind of fan. Tilt your head that way a little bit. Okay, so see how I have a little bit thicker here, which is perfect. This is all little money, is all little babies that we're gonna let stay healthy. I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna pick up that very first piece. I'm gonna have negative space here, and then I'm gonna weave. Because that's gonna give me that depth of that money piece without accidentally making it too thick. I love a thick money piece, but not for low maintenance girlies. We don't want a thick money piece. So the white lightning is fabulous for that, for dark, heavy, pigmented hair. It just helps break through a lot of that underlining pigment. The bleach lightener is also fabulous. I think it has up to 7 or 8 levels of lift. It just doesn't correct the tone as much as the white lightning, which is why we have 2 different lighteners. So I'm taking that. Then we're coming in, we're doing really shallow partings. Here, lift up, oops, lift up. Space, weave. Through here. Bring this up. How many of you do curly hair? Did they answer my lightning question? Oh, styling products are good. Do you use them with straight hair or curly hair? I'm gonna split this in half again just for tidy partings. Gonna lift this up. So again, I just have a little bit like a peace sign width for me to work on that money piece, and then we'll combine everything afterwards. Man, you got long eyelashes, girl.
They're big.
Oh, well, they don't look big. Dang, girl, get that. Okay, so now I'm going to the opposite way. So when I'm doing the opposite way, I'm starting from the back, weave, weave, space, pick up. But the F18 lightener, we really love it because it's cleaner. It gives you the power that you need. It works fast. I don't know about any of you, but I work behind the chair to make money, and I double, triple book, but I do have assistants, and I need timing that works for me, and I cannot have a product that does not work or that swells a lot. So a lot of my girls here, they do really like the F18 lightener, and I've been using it now for about 2-3 years. So again, here, this is where you'll be able to start seeing that pivot. So I'm starting from the back, weaving, 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 empty space, pick up. Sweet. Oh, the leave-in spray is literally my godsend. I'll be buried with the leave-in spray. The leave-in spray is amazing. I use it on pretty much everybody. It's one of my favorite refresh products. It's one of my favorite. I style my little girl's hair with it. I do a lot of mom content because, hi, I'm a mom, but I do a lot of mom content. So some of it's just me doing my daughter's hair. So this is where the partings will start to look a little different because now I'm starting that pivot. And so if you're just like looking at it, you're like, well, that's weird because aren't you leaving that big gap? That's totally fine. The gap is fine because it's going to give me some depth. You're going to have lightener and then natural hair behind here. So it'll create a natural shadow with it. But this is where I need to be able to continue up on that fanning motion with it. So we're going to pick up and then we're going to drop and then we'll pick up that very front piece. Literally such a good money piece technique. How's our brunette doing? We want her to be at like a beigey color. So I need her to be at a level 9. Perfect. You can put a towel over her head. That way she can move a little bit faster. I don't put any bleach under any heat, but we will put towels under their heads or on top of their heads, not under their heads, but on top of their heads to kind of trap in some heat. Going through here. Yep. How pretty that curl is. Oh, so pretty. Stay in your assigned seat. And before I rinse my brunette, I'll show you guys what I did. Everybody's a little bit more sparse. I mean, I'm sure as you guys as hairstylists know, like everybody's a little bit more sparse around this recession area. A lot of people have recessions. It's not anything to be, women will be really self-conscious about that. Men will also be self-conscious about it, but it's really not that big of a deal. But you do want to just treat it a little bit more with tender, loving care as opposed to just cranking those out, because I don't know about you guys, if you guys have ever experienced some breakage, or if you have a client that came in with breakage, will you give me a new brush, babe? My lightener's kind of like puffing up a little bit and it's making my brush messy. Thank you. If you lost my train of thought, what was I saying?
Breakage.
Breakage. Yeah. The reason why a lot of people get breakage around that hairline is because it's not terminal hair, it's vellus hair, which means it's naturally softer. It is not embedded into the follicle as deep as terminal hair is. So this is all vellus hair, this is terminal hair. So this hair can go through a lot more history and a little bit more torture. And then this hair, we need to treat it very kindly because it can break very easily, especially with curly girls that you can already see all of that. Like that is how fragile. Do you wear your hair up a lot? No? Okay. But like that is all just new baby hair growth. So I want to make sure that I'm not just frying it off. And sometimes these little pieces are going to be even more narrow. I'm going to keep that out. Weave, empty, pick up. I have to remember not to sing when I'm teaching a Zoom class. We still have music. Can you guys hear the music at all? Because sometimes when I'm just foiling, I'm just like, I'm just vibing. How many of you do curly hair? And what are some of the struggles you have with painting curly hair? Weave, 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 weave. Put that out. Weave, 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 weave. Out. Pick up. So you can see that little negative space. If you ever hear me talking about negative space, it means it's unpainted hair. That is like a Redken term that I have just carried on for the last decade. Because I have a lot of negative space when I get into the actual meat of the hair. Do a little shimmy. I personally like to keep a clean brush. It gives me anxiety when my lightener starts like traveling all the way up. To each their own, but it marks my armpit sweat. Lift that up. They write anything in the chatty? Coming through here. Negative, positive. My hands do get sticky from using that treatment spray. So sometimes when I am working, they'll like grab onto the foil. And so I use a lot of like the very back of my brush and try to just get really close. And again, I'm trying not to hit that really processed hair right there. Sometimes it's impossible to not get it. And if you do, just watch it. Lift it up. Bring this down. And that's my money piece. So sometimes if I have somebody that's wanting lived-in hair, which is 90% of my clientele, if I have somebody wanting lived-in hair, you have a couple different options. Let me take this down so you can see. Okay. So you guys see how she has this really harsh line of demarcation right here. So I don't want people to have that. When they leave and they come back after 4 to 6 months, I don't really want a line of demarcation. So how I like to combat that is I don't backcomb, I don't tease, I just paint backwards. That is, I guess, maybe my secret weapon with my curly girls, or with my straight hair girls too, because I do it vice versa. But I don't shadow root. Only if I mess up is when I have to shadow root. And she already has quite a bit of blonde through here, so I'm really only having to like touch up this line. And then I am going to tip out a little bit just to give her some spice to it, just to kind of brighten her up because she hasn't had her hair colored in a minute. So I'm going to turn her so you guys can see. Okay, so this is the part that's left out. So what I like to do is I like to start, I go diagonal forward, about not all the way up to the apex. So remember when I said hair light will tell me where to part? Right here. And then I just clean up that parting. So your hair, curly hair will tell you like what groups, what planes and bevels we're going to work with. So, and then that will tell me where the hair will naturally split when she's out living in the wild. Like, so I do not do anything super crazy structured with curly hair because it's just kind of a waste of time. I'm going to just spin her a little bit. But I am going to color her diagonal forward. So meaning if I were to put a marble on the butt of my comb, it would fall forward in case I don't know how. Sometimes that can be diagonal back and diagonal forward can be a little bit more confusing for people. Okay, so what I'm going to do with here, I'm going to put one foil to bring this up to soften this. And then I'm going to separate it basically like that. And then I'm going to do a tip out right through here because this is where it's getting a little bit more warm. Will you mix up another bowl of 10 vol, please? This is a little bit more warmer. So I want to make this brighter, and then it will basically give me a foil and then depth behind it with her previously lightened. And then we're going to freshen up her ends so it will look like a foilage or a balayage, whatever term you want to use. And I'm doing pretty thin, small weaves. I do a lot of weaves. I don't do a lot of slices. The only time I'm doing slices, you just have to know the difference between, if you're wanting ribbons of color, a slice will give it to you. When I move closer to the very top of her head, I'll probably do more horizontal sectioning with a little bit of diagonal forward. But I'm gonna leave a veil. So that one I'm just kind of diffuse a little bit. Look at that. You guys get to watch me in real time mess up. Bring this up. Like it never happened. It's stuck to my board. What's that? Right here. That down. There we go. Crisis averted. So I'm gonna take that, fold that. I sandwich all my foils. Okay, so then there's that. I'm gonna flip that up out of my way. I'm gonna take this whole big old section. I'm gonna bring it over, direct it forward to her. The reason why is because when you over direct forward, that means it's a round sectioning. So I don't have to diffuse. I don't have to backcomb. I don't have to do anything. I can literally put a straight line, bring it forward, a very harsh straight line. But then whenever it goes back, it'll diffuse into a diagonal pretty line since it was over directed. And that work already was done for me without having to backcomb and do all the stuff that makes our life at the bowl a living HE double hockey sticks. I'll bring this up. I'm just going to detangle a little bit. So again, I'm going to over direct forward because that creates a round. And I'm going to weave. I'm going to not do this brighter piece. I'm going to weave the darker, and we'll do that. So there will be some light overlapping, but it's not going to be too bad. I have a long piece right there. Yeah, sorry. I'm going to kind of fan that out because this is a thicker piece. And the reason why it's okay to have a little bit thicker piece right here, one, I'm not needing a ton of lift. I really just need to I just need to lift it up maybe like a level and a half. So I'm bumped it down to 10 vol and see how I'm going backwards. And we're all over directing forward. So then when we drop that, but then when the hair actually moves into the wild, it goes from being a horizontal line to a diagonal soft line. I always flip that piece up because even this part where I not backcombed, but back painted will still be under the foil. It's not the prettiest, but it keeps me from having to do a lot more work. And it keeps my tender-headed girls safe and so whenever I say it kind of looks like gives you a balayage effect. So we'll have this, and then we'll have this underneath it. So it just kind of gives you a balayage effect, and everything will kind of come in through here. Anytime I'm coloring, I do a lot of diamond. I do a lot of bricklaying. With curly hair, most of my color is brick laid. It gives me the most per inch coverage. And it makes everything just look really organic because curls will style one way one day, and then the next day it's gonna look completely different. So I do a lot of bricklaying. So like I just did, you don't have to move, baby. Okay, so this one's gonna be diagonal. So then my next one that I'm going to do is going to be bricklay right through here. And then I'm gonna come up through here and I'm gonna basically do horizontal, but leave a negative space right behind the money piece. And I'm gonna leave a very light veil. When I say veil, I mean, I'm gonna spinner. And when I say light veil, I mean light. Basically, a veil like this. And then that veil will lay on top of the already lightened underneath it. And it will give her a really seamless, really pretty color. Remind me, Anna, to move my mat so I'm standing on it more after class. Which means I'm sacrificing my body for you guys. Okay, horizontal. Horizontal is really fun because it's such an easy old school technique. I feel like such a millennial when I do horizontal. But it really does, like when you're just needing a quick, but you need, oh, bless you, but you just need to get color on and you don't have time to be really extravagant. Horizontal, if you bricklay and you can add in some tipping out, I mean, it can really give you, and then just working harder, creating the veil, you know, if you do diagonal and like a diamond geometry on top of the head, I do that a ton. And what that will give you is more ribbons of color as opposed to a more diffused, natural, organic looking way of color, which I love equally as much. It just kind of depends on what the vibe we're going for. Does anybody color with the diamond geometry, and do you bricklay your geometry? Let me know. So with this, after I get finished with this, I'm going to come back out and I'm going to tip some of those too. And I'll pull everything still forward. Here. I do make sure my partings are clean. Did you just yip?
I did, I said sorry.
Okay, so see how I picked up that very last piece? That was because I was on autopilot and I don't want to, so I just took that back out. So here's my money piece. Remember, I was weaving through here. I'm gonna leave that little bit of darkness right through here, and then I'm gonna come back in and do a very fine weave, technical. We're gonna style her with leave-in. We're gonna shimmy. We're gonna style her with leave-in and styling cream, which I'm not gonna teach. I am teaching a styling curly class here this month on a Sunday. It's gonna be like a 2-hour Zoom class and physical if you're local, but we have some out-of-staters joining us, so it'll be available via Zoom as well. And so if you guys want to learn how to style, you can definitely join me for that class because I will not be showing it this class. It is on my website. So I'm going to keep coming up here. Will you lower her down, baby? Okay, you can probably go pretty low. There we go. Oh, fine, 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 fine. I don't want a black hole underneath it, so I am going to leave just a little bit of negative space, but I'm definitely picking up a little bit closer. So this is basically like the only thing that is being left out. I know that seems like a minor detail, but sometimes if you're not paying attention and you can accidentally leave too much negative space behind, and then you genuinely look like you have a black hole right behind the money piece, and that's not cute either. So I'm gonna be covering or coloring a little bit. She doesn't have a ton of grout. She only has about 1 inch, so I can't like back comb too much. But if you guys can tell, I am leaving jagged edges up here, and it will all diffuse when she's actually dry and when we put the toner on her. But she has quite a bit of darkness through here, so I'm going to go ahead and you have some darkness. Just kidding. That sounded very smoldery. Got the darkness in you. Okay, taking this, flipping this up. That. And I'm just going to very lightly tap that because I don't want any of that coming through here. Lock it in. I always bring all this stuff forward because that is how I will always tip out. So I just bring that so I don't have to move the foils as much. So that way I know how much is going to be left out and what's going to fall. So sometimes when I am foiling, I will just drop the hair and see how it wants to disperse. Because unlike straight hair, like my hair will just fall flat. Curly hair genuinely expands. And so it disperses, it like fights against each other. So a lot of times when I'm coloring, I will literally I'll drop it and I'll walk away and I'll kind of see where I need to color with it. It's just very organic kind of filling. And then just learning how curly hair actually works. So this is where I'm getting closer to leaving my veil out. But if I leave that much of a veil, it won't work. That technique will be lost. So I'm making sure, do you always part your hair in the middle, babe? Okay, that's what I figured. I should have asked you before. Actually, did I ask you that before I cut you?
No.
Okay. Fail. I fired. Always ask where they part. Don't do what I did. Okay, so here's my section right here. I'm going to leave literally the teeniest little veil. So that'll be my veil, and you will not be able to tell if there's a line of demarcation based off that veil. And if I need to, we can always kind of color it, but make it a little bit thinner. Yeah, that'll be perfect. So I'm going to do one more. What about the brunette, baby?
Yeah.
Level 8, cool. Okay, so she's got some. I can tell whoever did her hair last probably did diagonal, which is like you could see those really big ribbons right there, which I love. I do a lot of diagonal. Again, I'm leaving that pretty jagged up through here. Ah, don't bend. Do any of you leave veils, or did you kind of forget about the veil technique? I feel like it's a geriatric hairstylist technique. New ways to love you. Whoops, caught myself singing. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I forgot I have a microphone. Did anyone answer? Cool. Are you guys doing clients today? Or are people off on Mondays? Okay. Okay, so again, I'm gonna let her hair kind of tell me where it wants to. It already naturally does it right here.
One person's off today.
Oh, one person's off today. Well, thank you guys for being here when you're even still working. Okay, so see how dark that is? This is why we have a dark hole right in the very front of her hair. So what I'm gonna do is do diagonal. That's what I wanted to see. But I'm gonna do diagonal forward because I want the color to go forward. Y'all almost caught me doing diagonal back. And then I corrected myself. Okay. Weave. So somebody asked me how thick my weaves are. When I'm in the very back of the head, you can tell my weaves are pretty thick. So, and you can tell this is an S curve right here. And then this is the valley, and then it will pivot back out. So me doing this like thick of weaves, I'm not thick this way. I'm only thicker like width-wise, but not depth-wise. So if you're thick depth-wise, you'll get really warm, inconsistent coloring. So which is why I still want it really thin, but I do want it pretty wide because her curl pattern is about, let me see, her curl pattern, like her groups of curls are about that thick when they're actually skinny and not diffused. See that? So if I were to do the width of her curl pattern is going to be, this will work perfect for her. So I make my depth, not my depth, my width of my weaves as thick as her natural curl families are, if that makes sense. It's making sense of how I'm saying it, but I don't know if it's translating correctly. Anna, my assistant, is agreeing that it's making sense. So if I need to break it down, just let me know. I'm used to being able to see people's faces when I teach. So I can see if I have blank stares. Okay, so with this, we're just gonna do, this is back to 20 vol. Sometimes I'll go through here and just kind of air paint a little bit if I need to. Do you guys do a lot of coloring or do you do mostly cuts? Cutting. I love to cut. Like a surgeon. Call me the Meredith Grey of cutting. We do a lot of coloring. I do a lot of coloring, but I really like to cut. Pick those up. This is where I'm going to do my bring it over because that, again, gives me a round shape. And it will make me work smarter and not harder. So I'm doing weaves. Bring that forward. When I do like to kind of spread that out. This can be thicker because I'm not trying to get consistent. I just want it to bump up a few more levels. And just by minorly, when I said bump up a few levels, I don't mean like, she just needs to basically get that warmth out just a smidge, just to break it up. So I kind of diffuse that. You can even pre-paint the foil. I do that a lot. And I also bump this down to 10 vol. This is when I'm, oops. Painting backwards. We have a lot of Beyonce on in the salon. It's really hard not to vibe out with it. Okay, so then taking a shortcut. I love when we can actually legally take shortcuts without hurting the outcome of it, because we do not have a Control Z in our line of work. But so again, we're going to come up right through here. This is that natural bevel, the round of the head. You got to think of the head as a disco ball. We have a lot of round and flat spots, but it creates a round shape. So I'm not going to color that one because very blonde. So I always try to mimic their head shape whenever I am curling or when I'm cutting. I'm leaving some negative space up there. This piece was pretty dark, so I'm going to do the whole foil stay. Bye, baby. Okay, so we'll do that. I'm going to pull all this forward so that way I can go back through and tip that out when I'm fully done. This is more blonde, so it doesn't need as much time, so I'm going to save that for when I'm almost done. So again, we're doing some horizontal sections. The way that these marry together, so notice how it's not just like a flat. So there's going to be some geometry in here. There's going to be some little obtuse angles in here. So it's not just permanently, you know, flat.
Thanks. So sorry.
Don't worry, we can't hear.
Okay.
The microphones are good.
Lauren said, I'm gonna retire for 10 years now. Lily's mom here, but I love doing color. Thanks for sharing this great info and taking care of Lily.
Are you my model?
Yeah.
Is that your mom?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh my God, Sammy, she wants you to clap.
I was like, wait a minute, Lily, I couldn't remember. I was trying to think of your Instagram handle.
Yeah.
Yay. Hi, Lily's mom. She had great genetics. I'm like, I want her hair. Wow, my hands are so sticky right now. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, please. And a dry one. I love moms. Okay, so notice I'm leaving a little bit of that up here. I'm gonna leave that, and then we're gonna go. You can even go all the way back. Whoops. If that happens, don't worry about it. I will show you a way to get rid of it. Okay, so I'm gonna bring that back. Okay, so I'll worry about that here in a minute. Then we come through here. That little bubble off. Here, and then I just take my comb and I just get that out of the way. And then no one will ever know. It's all of our secrets. Everybody's gonna go online. I saw Kylie. She left lightener above her foils. So delicious. Okay, so then again, we're gonna have, remember we have a little bit of a veil, but I'm not there yet. So Lily already has like a really pretty blonde already, like she has a really pretty like little honey color. So we're just gonna be brightening up, just adding on to it and brightening up the little bit of the black holes. Because I feel like you are a sun. Have you guys seen that trend on TikTok? Like you're a sun, you're a moon. I feel like you're definitely a sun with your pretty blue eyes. Although I have seen some blue eyes with brunettes. Guys, they just look like witches. I love it. Like witchy little bronze.
Lily's mom said, hi, love your top and nails.
Oh, thank you. The top is from Good American, the bodysuit, and then the vest is from, what's her place called? Hebby Forever? Hebby Forever, if that makes any sense to you guys. Nails, Lustry Nails. Shout out to Janny. Wah, wah.
I love how you just say random.
I do.
So
I'm like a parrot. I have,
everybody's got me here. You say delicious and wah wah.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I sing less when I'm cutting, if that makes you feel any better. When I'm coloring, it's just so repetitive sometimes that I just burst out into random song and dance. No.
Doing my knee with skill walk.
Doing horizontal. One of my girlies over here, Dammer, she always makes fun of me. She's like, "Are you doing horizontal sections?" I'm like, people like to hate on it. I don't care. She's like, "Can we do that now? Is that a thing now? Is that allowed?" It's amazing. I'm like, I know it died for a minute because the ribbon came in, and careful with your money piece, baby. We'll go check her money piece, Anna, real quick. I have a feeling when she moved that, I saw a foil slip. Yep. Sorry, I didn't want to like mom voice you, but that scared me right there. Too full of too long. Oh my God. Oh, that looks pretty. What's the rest of it? What's the back look like? That was the very last part I did. Coming through here. Creating some negative space. I'm going to paint quite a bit of this down. I have so much lightener on my shirt. I know. She's at a 7. Will you hit it with the blow dryer just real quick? Very lightly. We will sometimes just like tap things with a blow dryer on like medium heat, but we don't do like the dryers. The reason why, I don't know if anybody does still put, the manufacturer's instructions literally say don't put under heat. Natural scalp heat, I feel like is totally fine, but the reason why we don't like to put lightener under heat is because you want to think of it like you're eating at a buffet. I don't know if people go to buffets still. They kind of gross me out, but some people still like them. But if you are not wearing stretchy pants when you go to a buffet and you just like eat and eat and eat and eat, and then you go and you're so full, you're so miserable. It's the same thing with doing lightener and under heat. It really quickly expands your hair cuticle. It can destroy the hair cuticle, different pieces, and your hair cannot acclimate safely and fast enough to accommodate the heat and the extra pressure inside the foil. So that's why we do not like to put lightener under heat, but there is times where we're just like, we need this to go a little bit faster, or we just need to bump it, give it a little bit of boost, and we'll just like little love tap. Lily, you have the best hair, man. I'm excited about this. Okay, so this little veil right here, basically, will disperse. So you notice like, so whenever the rest of her hair underneath this is all colored. So this veil here is gonna save me time. It's gonna, that way I don't have to shadow root and I can just move on with my good life. And it will not hurt her hair in the least bit. Like you won't be able to tell that she left a veil. Okay, so then what I like to do is when I'm starting to work back here, she honestly doesn't need a ton back here, if I'm being honest. So again, remember how I just kind of let the hair fall? Will you lift her up, baby? So she already has, she's pretty blonde through here, so she doesn't need a ton. I really want to kind of brighten these ends up. That's what I'm mostly gonna be working on. And then I'll come up through here and I will do more diagonal brick lay. I'll do the diamond, horizontal, mini diamond, and probably a little mini horizontal one. So in the back, I'm working with the curvature of the head as opposed to the front. I'm just doing horizontal on like the last 3 or 4 foils up here. But in the back, I am literally going to be going diagonal, diagonal. So it will create this diamond look. And then every other one, so every third foil is horizontal. So diamond, diamond, horizontal, diamond, diamond, horizontal. And then the very last one, I may just do horizontal right there and just kind of feather it up so it looks and grows out really kindly. And then I'm going to come back through here and I'm going to tip all that out. Because all of this is really blunt, so it doesn't really need a lot. But like this part does. How much?
5.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I thought you said 15.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? Double wait, what? Okay. So this is gonna be my first diamond. So see how she gets darker? Like the further we move down. So this is where I want to kind of just brighten that up with that. So we're gonna go weaves. And sometimes I'll do weave and then I'll just like stroke out or something and then just have a half of a slice. Like some of it will be half slice and then half weave. It just kind of depends. You guys are the artists. You can just make it your own, customize it. Curly hair is not consistent. So why should your coloring be consistent? I feel like when you do really structured coloring on curly hair, that's when it starts to look not, I just don't like the look of it as much, but that is a personal opinion. That is not God. Right there. I'm just gonna very lightly paint those. That's not. My favorite Miley Cyrus era. Okay, so then again, I'm gonna do another diamond. Miss Anna, will you go check on that one foil that kind of slipped? I just want to make sure it doesn't accidentally bleed. Things that make hairstylists sweat is bleed marks. I would rather rinse her early if you feel like there's a potential of 3 of them. Okay, go ahead and rinse her. When you bring her over here, let me look. I'll come over there after this foil. You know how clients like to try to get, and it's like they kind of pull, they're not realizing that it will, if you pull that out, foils will pull with it. So, oh, spooky. So whenever you're wanting depth, my biggest tip whenever you're wanting depth with your highlights, less is more, to be honest, which is why I leave a lot of it unpainted because I need some of this depth. If I were to color too many foils, it will be too blonde and she's not going to have any depth behind there. So which is why I do a lot of just simple foils and then I do a lot of tip outs, but the geometry will stay the same. So I'm going to go horizontal right here. Yep, let me go check on her real quick. So we'll probably only do maybe like 2 or 3 more foils up here. Because again, with curly hair, a lot of times less is more. I'll be right back. Yeah, it's because her hair's so heavy, but no bleed marks, so that makes me really happy. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Right, it's so inconspicuous back here.
You're not even on camera, Boo.
No, but like, I'm trying to be so like quiet.
Oh, my,
And it's-
from my whole area.
Okay, so I'm coming in through here. I really wanted you guys to be able to see. It's really hard to get like a full color, curls, styled, toned, all the works within 2 hours. So I needed to have multiple models so you guys can actually see me color and then one basically done because she's gonna have to go under the dryer for a little bit when we style her and then we'll diffuse her. That way you can see like a little bit of a difference. And then I don't know if you guys will see this beauty finished, but I will definitely be posting her on my socials. And again, I'm Curls by KC on Instagram. So I'm gonna do one more diagonal. Did I just hurt you, babe? You're good? Okay. Let me know if I get too painful. I feel like I'm gentle, but other people tell me I'm not. Yeah. See, I'm a big old baby when I get my hair done. I am. Okay, guys, I was platinum, Damaris. I don't need mouth. I was I was platinum for so long that now my poor little scalp is just like hisses at me. So I'm a little baby. Bring this up. Feather, 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 feather. Getting all that previously colored. Lift it up. Okay, so then once we get to this part, you'll notice that I'm running out of space. It's totally fine. I'm gonna bricklay my V right here. So then when I come in through here, bricklay. Hi, you little pesky dude. Stay in your assigned seat. There we go. My troublemakers are always men because they are the most difficult species. As my husband's right there. Okay, so do this. We're gonna do diagonal. Really fanning this out. I just want to diffuse a lot of little marks. And I pull this pretty tight. Like I need the tension. I cannot work with slack in my foils. So I think that was one of the biggest things that I had to like really train my assistants on because their foils were pretty loose. That's always kind of an issue. So I'm like, no, you got to pull that hair really taut at the end of the board. That's why I use a board. Go through here. Let's see. Okay, so now we're gonna go horizontal. And then the rest of here, I'm just gonna go horizontal with it. But I'm gonna be leaving some negatives, quite a bit of negative space. Sorry. We did a haircut, but some of the ends are a little crunchy, which is good because you get an F18 mask. Oh my God, have you guys used the F18 mask? Please put in the chat box if you have or have not. And if you have not, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but you need to get it together because that hydrating mask, the holy grail. We sell more of that one mask, of that one product than I do every SKU in this building. The mask is probably life-changing. I would hate to call like a product life-changing, but I actually mean that mask has been life-changing for a lot of my clients. I play with so many textures of hair. We are not just like we're not a typical salon. We do a lot of textured hair, heavy textured hair. So when we do that, we really need a really quality product. And I have used a lot of different products over my almost 15 years behind the chair. And there is genuinely not another product like the hydrating mask from F18. So my models do get a little goodie bag. They'll get a free F18 hydrating mask. And it is, I call it liquid gold. Honestly, they need to change the name. Please give me credit, F18. Instead of hydrating mask, make it liquid gold because it genuinely means it. It's so good.
Jenny said yesterday. Lauren asked, how did you get into specializing in curly hair?
Oh, good question. So I'm happy that you still use the mask. It's amazing. So how I got to do with curly hair is I was an assistant at a salon downtown called Roca Salon and Spa. Give credit where credit's due. And they were also like one of the first curly salons here in the city. They were mostly just Diva Curl trained and they cut curl by curl. I was an assistant for a hairstylist named Janelle. She's in Washington, D.C. I don't even think she does hair anymore. I'm not for sure. But she was their mostly like curly stylist, like their busiest one there. So I was her assistant for 2.5, probably almost 3 years. I think they just didn't really want to let me go, but you know, I was there for about 3 years and I did nothing but curly hair for a really long time. And I kind of figured out really early on in my career that respectfully, curly girls are desperate. And I was really good at it. I was a natural at it. I just clicked with it. And I absolutely loved it. And I started building, this was before curly hair was trendy. So I feel like now curly hair is trendy. Before curly hair went trendy, I was genuinely, I think we only had maybe 4 stylists in the entire Kansas City metro that could do curly hair. And so I saw a market in it. I worked at Roca for another year after my assistantship. And then I went to a corporate salon, Beauty Brands. I'm sure you guys probably heard about it. They're nationwide. I worked there, and out of almost 50 stylists at Beauty Brands, I was the only stylist that did curly hair. So that meant I got every single curly girl that called in to that salon. So I was able to build, and I was able to build really, really quickly. And so I took WeDad classes. I took more Diva Curl classes. Diva Curl classes before they almost went bankrupt because they were making everybody's hair fall out. But so allegedly, I think it was honestly influencers just using hundreds of products on their hair every single week. But so I used that product for about 10 years. And then I went on my own, opened a suite. I had a double suite to myself, and I had 2 assistants working, and we would just crank hair out all day long, 5 to 6 days a week. And I started kind of, I don't want to say blowing up, but I kind of started blowing up in the Kansas City area and in the surrounding. Like, majority of my clients are not Kansas City locally. A lot of them are an hour to 2 hours. Some fly, some takes trains. Like there's a lot that move all over. So that's why I advertise all over the country, because you don't want to just take yourself to a knit, like keep yourself small. So when it come to that, I outgrew my suite very, very quickly. And I told my family I had way too many clients. I was at one point at 127% booked when I was in my suite working with 2 assistants. And I genuinely could not do any more hair. I was so booked out. I had a waiting list a mile long, and I had up to a 6-month long wait to get into me. So I told my husband, I remember this conversation very well. I think we were sitting at Indian food restaurant, and I told him I'm going to fire all of my straight hair clients, pass them off to my girlfriends, and I'm just going to do curly hair. And he looked at me like I was the dumbest individual in the entire world. And they're like, and he said, "You're going to say bye to all that revenue?" And I said, "I genuinely cannot do any more hair. I can't fit any more into my books." So I said, "Yeah, I am going to not do straight hair anymore, and I only want to do curly hair. I know I can make this work." And so I went against what my parents thought I should do, and I went against what my own husband thought I should do. And nobody's going to tell me what to do. But so I started doing only curly hair, and then I was able to get rid of a lot of clientele that didn't really serve me anymore. I was able to get them to somebody who can just do them. And then I was able to make more room for more curly clients, and I was able to raise my prices so I didn't have to work as much. And when I say as much, I was still working a lot. Don't get it twisted. But I was able to knock off maybe like 10% of my utilization and then get a pay raise, which was really nice, and not just work my body to the bone. So I started doing that, and then I was still so busy, and I was like, my parents were like, you really got to open a salon. You are so capped out. You're miserable in your suite because it was so small. So I finally got talked into opening up my own salon. And the only reason why I opened a salon was so I could work on 4 chairs and not be bothered. But I didn't realize how hard opening a salon would be. I opened during COVID 20. Okay, that was being a problem child. He needs to behave. So I'm going to paint this right here. So for 2 years after I opened Moxie, I personally worked on 4 stations. And then the rest of my team worked on, I have 8 stations. So I had quite a few team members, but everybody else just worked on their own stations. And then I had 4. And then me and my assistants, we just cranked it out. We worked 5 days a week on 4 stations rotating. And I had 4 clients going at one time, which is honestly really crazy, but what a fun memory lane. But yeah, so curly hair was just something that I really got good at. I was a natural at it, and in the most respectful way possible. I learned quickly that curly girls are desperate, and hairstylists, they don't take curly education serious. We don't teach curly education in cosmetology school, which shame on you, cosmetology schools, but they do not teach it in cosmetology school. So I made myself needed. That's all I did. I would take a lot of pictures. I built everything up. And here I am teaching a coloring class that I probably have no business teaching, but here I am. But I do have quite a few classes coming up this summer. I'm calling it Texture Academy. So, and I made it to where it's very affordable. Normally I charge $400 a ticket at all my classes. This summer, I had a very big eye-opening experience last year with just the personal life. And I was just like, let's make it to where education is affordable again, because I feel like hairstylists, our education has gotten astronomical. As you guys know, just to take one class, I mean, you have to go, not only do you have to buy tickets and lodging and airfare, but the class itself is 6 or 5 hours, and you're having to pay $1,500 just to be able to go and learn from that educator. And in this economy, who can do that? So I made Texture Academy this summer very affordable. All my tickets are under $200. They're very quick, easy classes, but jam-packed with cutting, styling, product knowledge, all of it. And it will be all with texture. We're doing a shag class. We're doing a student class. I don't know if I have any rookies in here on my Zoom call, but if you are a newbie, check out my student class. We have a styling class coming up this month, and then I have a shag class in August, and then my student class in September. And then I also teach nationwide. So any salons just hire me to come and teach their salon to cut curly hair. So now I'm just tipping out with tin ball. Just wanted to brighten up some stuff. Doing some slight over directions. Over directing will literally save you from ever having to back comb. How many of you back comb with your color? Bless you if you do. I don't have patience for that. You can also, what I really like to do is go through here. Let me just show you. I like to find these individual curl clumps. So like that's probably going to be one curl family. Actually, this probably is. Yeah. You can come in through here. You can just air paint. Ew, I don't have gloves on. I'm sorry. And then I just kind of do. Sometimes I just will go through here and just kind of finger paint individual curls. Most of the time I have gloves on when I actually do this, but always work backwards. Are you ready for toning, babe? Okay, just let me know. Okay, so right through here, I'm just gonna tip out a little bit. This doesn't need a ton. I may actually just balayage those, which means I'm gonna bump up my developer to 20. Sorry, baby, I just hit that. I'm pulling everything forward again, going back. No back combing. Definitely recommend to put gloves on. Don't do what Kylie's doing. There, I comb that out. Very demure. Very professional. Very mindful. And then I'm just going to bring that over there. I love that sound. I do that sound all the time. 90% of my personality is memes. Genuinely, 90% of my personality is memes. I can only vibe with clients who know. Did I get any more questions, baby? I know you're. Oh, you're fine.
No, Lauren said she would have problem with Lily's hair. We stopped her.
It what?
Her mom just said that she always had problems with hair.
Yeah, well, and it's because like there's not a lot of education with curly hair. Like there's just genuinely not. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people are like, "Oh, I have black hair or I have ethnic hair." I freaking hate that. And as a hairstylist, it's our duty, our responsibility to correct people on that. Hair has no race. It's not textured. I have seen so many different races with kinky, coily, beautiful hair. So it's just education. It's water, literally. It's not race, it's water. It's literally H2O. That's all it is what you need. That makes a big difference with curly hair. But when it comes to it, like, I don't blame you for having so many issues and struggles with it because we were never taught. It's not our fault. And there's not a ton of education, which is why I'm so excited that F18 is bringing curly hair onto their company and making it known and supported. And it's nice that the products can be used on straight and curly hair. I always say that, like, you know, anybody who watches Mean Girl, again, 90% memes, I always say you can sit with us now. You know what I mean? Like products, you can sit with us now using F18 because we can use it with straight and curly hair. There's no, oh, this is a curly line. Like, no, I'm literally using straight hair products for curly hair and it works beautiful. So 20 ball. I'm just gonna go through here and just kind of paint some of these. I'm doing way more than I probably should, but there we go. Okay. I'm going to pause right there. We're gonna go tone after I wash my hands.
I want it to be known, I cleaned it as best as I could. Okay, I even had it in the shampoo bowl. Sorry, I'm trying not to, look, see,
That's fine.
it's not me,
Oh, you got it.
try.
You got it.
I instantly took my shoes off. Yeah. She did.
Pretty. You lifted good, girl. You having problems back there, D?
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Baby, do you want to bring the camera back here when you have a second? Oh, sorry. I should probably help you with that. Okay.
Time for camera in your face.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys can see this raw lift and you can get even closer with it. So she has not, this is the girlie who had her hair melted off about 7 years ago with scalp sores and stuff like that. So this is her raw lift. So it is not cute right now. Okay. It is very raw, but you can see like how well she lifted. She does have conditioner in her hair right now, but you can see just how well she lifted with that white lightning. Like you have no business lifting this well. Like it works so well with that dark pigmented, and she has pretty coarse, thick hair, as Anna is learning right now. So, okay, I'm gonna let you continue brushing that out. And then we will tone her and then we will style her. And Anna, we'll just have to move really quickly so they can at least see a finished product. You can just kind of, if you want to, babe, you can just kind of set that camera right here. And they can just kind of watch Anna detangle a little bit. And I can answer questions for you guys. I'm going to mix up. We're going to use champagne and sand. Actually, let's see here.
Somebody asked, how would you finish your story on hopefully the salon?
Oh God, girl. Okay. I cried a lot. If you want to know my real answers, I'm very unfiltered, so you guys will get the very raw truth. I cried a lot. It was quite possibly some of the worst experiences of my entire life. I was also pregnant. I became pregnant in the middle of building my salon, which was also the worst thing because I had hyperemesis. So, you know, we just out here doing our best, but not hyperemesis gravidarum. So I was vomiting while I was building the salon. So we had, did you have questions about like the pandemic or like just what it was like building a salon during a miserable pandemic? Let me know in the chats. But everything was, sorry, I am putting stuff into salon scale, and my brain is having to do technology right now and tell a story. And so it's just not really working that well. There I am. Okay. So when I was building Moxie, I signed my 5-year lease, December 27th. We started demo in this building. This building was quite literally the ugliest building you'll ever see in your entire life before I took it over. It was solid black and gold. And so we had to demo it, knock everything down. We put a lot of money into it, a lot of hard blood, sweat, and tears, like literally. Champagne and sand. We're going to do champagne and sand, F18. Courtney, do you guys still have these toners? I know the permanent color is being discontinued, but is the toners also being discontinued? If you want to put that in the chat and let me know, that way I can, but I just have them over here so I can just use them. But yeah, it was wild, guys. It was just wild. It was not very fun building a salon. Everything was delayed. I had to do everything double. Let me go see if I have a Demi developer real quick. Oh, let me see if that chat. Oh, hi, arm. Okay, so they are discontinuing those toners, but they'll be able to, they have still some in stock. But yeah, so Lena, what do you have questions on with my salon? You guys can always DM me too on Instagram. Hey, baby, will you go and see in the back if I have a Demi developer that looks like this, but it will say Demi on it?
Demi?
Yeah, it'll, no, it will literally just say Demi. My husband is not a hairstylist, so he's probably like, oh God, you know? But yeah, everything was broken. Like we had to do electric twice. I had to fire contractors. All of my shipments were late. Everything cost $1 million more than what it should have because it was pandemic. Oh, hell yeah, I do have a Demi. Perfect. I was worried I didn't have it in stock. Perfect. Thank you, baby. Oh, will you hand me that color key, please? Thank you. So we just kept pushing on. Like we signed our lease, COVID hit the US like 15 days after I started my lease here, which was super fun. Then the world shut down. I had to close my suite. My husband lost his job because the courts were shut down. So I was unemployed, building a salon. We drained all of our savings, racked up a ton of credit card debt, and just survived. That's all it was. I always say I had to become the toughest person in the entire world in 2020, and I haven't been able to relax since. Because it was just we weren't able to work at full capacity for about well into 2021. So the salon, my stations are 6 feet wide, but we were not legally, we would have been fined. So my salon broke even basically for the first year. So I had to, everything that I was putting into it, I didn't pay myself for the first like 8 or 9 months. We just, literally, we did our best. It was just not fun. But now, we came out on the other side. Okay. You guys probably will not get to see the full finish, but I promise you we will finish them on, and I will post them all on my website or on my Instagram. But at least you guys learned the placement. You learned my placement with it. It works well. I'm able to do it with genuinely straight girls, curly girls. I'm able to do it with everybody. And it just works really, really well. Blending, over directing forward makes a big, big difference.
Just curious on your story and how you were introduced to F18, explaining your background with the products and how you transitioned to salon safety to salon.
We can go in more detail if you want to like DM me, but I can definitely talk to you. It was not easy. Anybody who tells you it was easy, they're totally lying and gaslighting to you. Sure. Yes, please. Sure. Yeah, go ahead and check her because she'll process pretty quickly. So I'm using quite a bit of this sand, and you don't have to move this. And we're just going to be painting this on. I'm using Demi Developer. It's a really thick color. You guys can do this at the bowl, or you can do it at your stations. The biggest thing is you just want to make sure you're getting lots of lots of product everywhere. So I'm going to be brushing this through. But it was a wild ride. Opening a salon, like I will say, my biggest it's not about you. Let's just say that. Whenever you open a salon, like you think like, oh, you're going to open a salon, you're going to make money, you're going to, kill it and it's going to be easy peasy. Nope. Your budget is going to have to expand to at least double what you think it's going to. You're going to end up doing a lot more work than you thought you were going to do. You're going to be doing a lot more work for free. I can't tell you how much work I do for free when it comes to training my team and, just in general, like there's just not, it's rough, you're working whenever you are working with clients. So not saying it's not worth it, but it's not about me. It's about like the team, the culture that I build, the education that I bring to my team. I pay all my girls for commission, but I pay them to learn. I pay them to come to all my classes. So when it comes to being a business owner, there's just so much more. It's being in a suite is cakewalk. I will say that it is cakewalk compared to owning a brick and mortar. Your bills go up substantially. You have a lot more expenses as a brick and mortar. Being a suite owner and a brick and mortar owner, two different things, which no one told me that whenever I was starting Moxie. I just thought, oh, I could just have to do an extra couple haircuts if I ran out of money or couldn't hit bills or something. When in reality, I'm like, no, oh, my HVAC just broke. I have to come up with $25,000 before we take clients tomorrow, or anything. Like it's just a whole different ball game. Triple nets, things that nobody knows about that people don't talk about. So I am using these two colors because I want them to be really warm. I don't want her color to be really neutral. She lifted so well up around her face. Like I said, that white lightning is so good. Miss Anna, will you bring me a clean brush, please? A clean brush, like a tingle teaser. Thank you, baby. I don't know if anybody else put questions. But if you guys want to talk shop, you can definitely not email me, but DM me. I talk business all the time. I never shut up. Curls and business, that's all I do. And books now. So if you're a smutty little book reader, you can also DM me, okay? We'll be besties. But you can already starting to see like that color kind of start to change. This color I leave on for about 20 to 25 minutes. And I'm really making sure. Get this. I am going to do some long form videos since you guys probably will not get to see the full end result with this. So I'll go through and kind of explain like what I did on my own personal page. So make sure you check out Curls by KC. It's like Kansas City, the initials, but it's more original than that. It's actually my initials, Kylie Crinian, KC. Not just Kansas City, but if that's how you want to remember it, so be it. So then we come in through here and I'm just going to brush all this out. And this will make it really, really pretty. But saturation is key. And you use demi volume. Cream developers are really nice. Or cream toners are really nice because I feel like they're hydrating. Like her hair feels like butter right now.
Yeah. I love to. Even mom with her hair. Yeah.
I also like to mix high lifts with color. Sometimes I'll do I do a lot of diagonal forward geometry with it, but I'll do lightener and then I'll also do a highlight for a low light, or I'm sorry, a high lift for a low light. And that works really, really well. Okay, gonna take this off. But look how pretty that money piece will look. So when this drapes, like it's not going to be, she's a bit like your mom, right? Yeah, your mom. I saw your Instagram. I stalked you a little bit.
I'm a cat mom.
No, you're a cat mom? Whose child do you have in your, am I imagining that?
Might be my goddaughter.
Oh, okay. Well, she has a god mommy. Okay. But so she just wanted something a little bit more lower maintenance, which is what this kind of money piece it will give you. It'll grow out beautifully. I like to have, we have a micro mini menu at our salon to where we will do just a money piece, move up in a gloss. Because that's what hairstylists do. I started offering coloring services for Moxie that are kind of recession proof. We had a lot of layoffs here in Kansas City with our federal people. Thank you, baby. And so we were getting a lot of cancellations because people were like, we're losing our jobs, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, oh God, we need to pivot. Like we're constantly pivoting. So I made a toner, like a money piece move up. I made appointments available for clients, what hairstylists do for each other to get us through until we get our hair done. Because I don't know about you, but if you're a busy hairstylist, you're typically not getting your hair done on the regular. You're really just doing maintenance just to try to keep it looking presentable behind the chair until you can have time to actually get your hair done. So I was like, why are we not offering these to our clients? Because they're just as busy as we are and just as stressed as we are. So we started offering money piece move up. We also do a mini highlight, which it's basically $10 a foil. So we can do as many foils as you want, but most time it's mini. We do less than like 15 and people love it. It's worked really well for us. The biggest thing is like, I've had to like making sure we're not empathy foiling and just not charging for those foils because we feel bad or something like that. You can't do that and still stay in business, but making your products or your services and your menus to where it's a lot more flexible. Like I said, you can just pivot. 10 minutes. I can already tell this is looking pretty. And like it will just look seamless. Like it'll just blend really, really nice.
Yeah.
Where is she at? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you lift your head up for me, baby? There we go. I like to part them right down the middle. You're gonna get a neck workout. So see how much depth I left underneath her, like nape area? But then you can see like how seamless that grow out is. If her hair's so thick, my tangle teaser's like, I'm not moving. But you can see how seamless, like she still has those ribbons of color, but it's gonna be really, really, really fluid. Which is what my particular clientele really likes. Okay, now you can put it down. Thank you. Especially with your heavy hair. Oh my God. Like literally look how thick her ponytail is. When she sent me photos, your hair did not look this thick. Like literally that is so huge. So when we started, I go, oh my.
So much hair.
So much hair. You are Lord's favorite. Okay, I'm gonna let this process for a little bit and stop touching it. As I continue touching it. Yeah. Just want to make sure. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna let that just process. Do its thing. Okay, so we have a few more minutes. Thank you for coming to my coloring class. Like I said, I have a lot of education happening this summer for Texture Academy. It's going to be so fun. They're easy, simple quick classes, so you don't have to, dedicate your whole Sunday to hang out with me and all of that goodies. But it's jam-packed with education. I don't hold back anything. I literally tell you everything that I know, you guys will know. And you're gonna get it at a really great price this summer. We have a shag class. We have a styling class coming up this month. And then we have our education for our brand new stylists, because baby stylists need to learn curly hair too. You can charge premium prices for curly hair because not every salon can do it. Literally, there's 100 salons on this block and we are the only curly one. So we should, and it's more expensive to be a curly salon because we use a lot more products. F18 is wonderful line to work with. They're, like I said, you can use it for both straight and curly line, or straight and curly products. We're going to style them with styling cream, and leave-in spray is probably what I'm going to use on her. And it is going to be so bouncy and luscious and shiny. It'll work so well with it. So all of F18, if you're interested, I think my rep actually texted me and told me I can give her your guys's, if I can give you her phone number. I'll actually write it down in the chat. They have a promo going on right now where you just have to pay shipping for an intro. I do not get commission for that, but it's just one of those things where I typically don't buy intros because I feel like we waste a lot of product when we buy intros, but this is a great opportunity to buy intros. So if you want my rep's information, I'll put it in the chat with that. So that way you guys can easily get hooked up and you don't have to pay $800. So I think you get like 800 some dollars and you just have to pay shipping. So it is a massive win when it comes to working behind the chair. Because F18, it is a clean line, but it also doesn't mean that it's a cheap line. Like anything with better products, it's going to be more of an investment. So you want to be able to work with that and invest in that. Their bleach, chef's kiss. I use their bleach every single day. A lot of my girls use their bleach. They are discontinuing their color line, which is totally fine. But their styling products and their bleach and their hydrating mask, the liquid gold that they're going to rename and rebrand, that are products that you literally probably cannot live without, especially the hydrating mask. And their lightener lifts really, really well, and it lifts really consistently. Let me find my phone. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, just curious. Thank you, Kylie. I can't wait to see you before and after photos. Yes, pay attention to my social media. I will post them today. Let me see. Let me get Jen's information. I'm going to put it in the chat before everybody pieces out. Right here. Her name is Jen Thomas. She's amazing. She will get back to you really quickly. Rep 816 number, but she covers a lot of people. And if you guys have any other questions that I did not answer, please don't hesitate to reach out. What you see here is literally what you get. I will just talk with you and enjoy it. So I put Jen's information in the chat box. So if you want to try that, you can get, she sent me a little photo, but it is retail. The retail selling value, salon price at our price is $727 for this, but you just have to pay shipping, which is like $40. So you're getting a ton of stuff for free, which that typically doesn't happen with intros. So it's a great time. And I think they're only offering it for a little bit, but that is her information. Just shoot her a text. She's really responsive. She gets back to you really quickly. I have been with F18 even before they were sponsoring with me since I've been in my suite, and I have been in Moxie for 5 years. So I've only been sponsored by F18 for 2. And I have been using their products for way longer than I've been sponsored. So I believe in their product lines. I would not be a part of their business if I did not believe in their product and what they do for my clientele and my business. I wouldn't be successful, I really don't think, if I didn't have this line to really make a difference in curly girls' hair. And it's just nice to have another small business owned company that makes a product that will work with curly hair. And they don't have to label it, here's only our curly line. No, everybody can sit together now. We can all share the same big lunch table. There's no mean girl action with our products anymore. So it just works really, really well. So I will stay tuned. Follow me on social, Curls by KC. And I will talk to you guys tonight. Look at that, right on time, even though you didn't see the finished product. Bye, guys. If you have any questions, let me know.